Hey everyone, hope your Easter break went well. We're going to start again with areas of composite shapes, composite figures. Now, composite just means it's made up of multiple figures. So if you know how to get the area of a square, rectangle, triangle, you should be able to get all of these. All you're going to be doing is you're going to be cutting these shapes into digestible parts, and this is what I mean by that. So right here, these formulas, you will be expected to know them. All right, there's a lot of them, but you should know about half of them. Yeah. Now, let's work this one out. Let's do these. So right now, we have a composite figure. We're going to do this one first. So we have a composite figure that looks like this. Oh, that is horrible. Whatever. My drawing will never be perfect, and I have to be okay with that. So right off the bat, looking at this is a really weird looking figure, but I can cut it into parts that I know that I can make. So I'm going to cut this into a trapezoid. So actually I'll use a different color to kind of show you where the cuts are. So I'm going to cut this into a trapezoid right here. So this right here now is a trapezoid, and this right here is a rectangle. All right, now it might not look like it, but it is. So that means that in order to get a trapezoid, I need to know area of trapezoid is equal to base 1 plus base 2 times the height, all divided by 2. Maybe it's better if I wrote it out. Yeah, I'll write it out. Let's take a look here. So it would be base 1 plus base 2 times the height, all divided by 2. That looks a lot better. So the first thing to do here is let's write down what we know. So I know that from here to here, that is 2 feet. Same thing here. From here to here, it's also 2 feet. Oh, sorry, 3 feet. Should have been 3 feet. I know that these little wings here are 2 feet, and I'm all basing this off of this picture. All right. And then from here to here, this whole length area is 8 feet, and then from here to here is 4 feet. Yeah. So in a trapezoid, what they mean by base 1, base 2, it just means the top and bottom. This is a base, that's a base, yeah? The horizontal parts. It's just so you don't mix them up. It doesn't matter which one you choose to be base 1 or base 2, just be consistent. Typically, I make the top one always base 1 and the bottom one base 2. So the smaller one is base 1, the bigger one base 2. In this case, what is the length from here to here? That's going to be our base 1. Well, from here to here, it's 4. And the way I know that is because it's 4 here. Now remember, this is supposed to be a rectangle, right? So from here to here, that would also be 4. So my base 1 is 4. My base 2, which is down here, right? From here to here, it's the same distance from here to here, so it's also 4. But the entire thing put together is going to be 8. Now this is the hardest part about composite figures. The hardest part is figuring out what goes where and trying to figure out everything from missing information. I knew that this is here to here is 4 because here to here is also 4. So if you kind of just take a line and go all the way across, it should be the same distance. Now obviously my picture is not going to be perfect, but if you look here, it's 4 all the way across. So 4, 4. Yeah? Oh, this one should have been 3. Okay. So if that one's 3, then that means that this should be 9. See, it's always good to double check your work. So from here to here is 3, here to here is 2. So that means that my base 2 is 9 times the height. Now remember what we said. The height will always be 90-degree angle to the base. So if you look here, that little square is not there for decoration. That's to tell you that this line, this dotted line, is 90 degrees to our base too. That means that our height is 3. Okay, this is pulling in from all your past. So if ever you're wondering what a height should be, it will always be a 90-degree angle from your base. It doesn't matter which base, pick a base, as long as it's 90-degree angles from it. Okay? And then divided by 2. So if we work that out, that's 4 plus 9, that's what? 13. Because of PEMDAS, we do parentheses first. Times 3 all over 2. So then 13 times 3, I believe, is 39 divided by 2. And then 39 divided by 2. You can just divide top by bottom. So top divided by bottom, that's what? 19.5? 19.5 feet squared. Now remember, I'm not done. That's just my trapezoid. Now I need to find my rectangle. Yeah? So if I were to do that here, my rectangle, area of a rectangle is what? You should already know that as base times height. Yeah, base times height. So in my rectangle here, what's my base? Or length times width, base times height, same difference. So my base here is going to be 8. So 8 area is equal to base times height. So my base here is 8. My height is 4. So that means I have 32. That means this area is 32 and this area is 19.5 feet squared. So I'm just going to add them together. So 19.5 plus 32. So that 0.5 is just going to go down. 9 plus 2 is 11. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. So my final answer is 51.5 feet squared. Now, trying to do this shape all at the same time is pretty hard, but once you break it down into small parts, it's very doable. So now let's do this. Let's do this basketball key. So right now, I know that I have a square and half a circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this. So here's my square. And the reason I know it's a square is because this is 10 and that's 10. So if all the sides are the same, it's a square. And then for a half circle, I really hope I can do this correctly. Cool. Cool. Cool, cool. Oh, no. There we go. All right. So now that we have this, let's deal with what we have. So this is 10 meters. That's also 10 meters. Now, you have been turning in work without, some of you have been turning in work without units. I will be lenient, but I will start taking off points. I have given reminders to some of you who have not done units, so please turn in your units. The area of a square is just length base times height, 10 times 10. So base times height. Base is 10. Height is 10. So the answer is 100 meters squared. Now let's do the semicircle. You have not learned how to do a semicircle yet, but you've learned how to do a regular circle. And a semicircle is just half a circle. So if you could probably guess, the area is just going to be the regular circle and then divide by 2. So if you remember, the area of a circle is pi times radius to the power of 2. But remember, we're just going to divide by 2 because we only have half the circle. So for pi, they said use 3.14. So A is equal to 3.14. Now, how do I get my radius? Well, I know that the radius should be the diameter, right? I mean, the diameter here is the same as the length of the square. So if you remember about diameter, diameter is just half, the radius is just half the diameter. So if you want to get radius, you just take the diameter and you divide by 2. In this case, we know the diameter is 10 because this line and this line, it's the same line. If this is 10, that means this is 10 because they're the same line. So radius is equal to 10 divided by 2. And the reason I know that this is diameter is because the diameter has to go across the circle going through the center. Yeah? So that means my radius is 5. So I'm going to put 5 in here. Squared divided by 2. So that means PEMDAS exponent comes next. So I have 3.14 times 25 divided by 2. So let's work out 3.14 times 25. So 3.14 times 25. 5 times 4 is 20, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, carry plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 4, oh wait, carry the 0, start a new row. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 3 is 6. So we got 0. 7 plus 8 is 15, carry the 1. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8. And, oh, no, you don't need to carry 1. And 1 plus 6 is 7. And then we use 2 decimals in the problem, so we have 2 decimals in the answer. Right there. So the answer is going to be 78.5 divided by 2. Remember that divided by 2 is still there. Divided by 2. So 7 divided by 2 is 3. So that's 6. 18. So that's 9. So that's 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. And then if I'm not done, I need to just plop a 0 there, right? So I drop the 0 down, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And I'm done. So the final answer is 39.25, what is it, meters? Meters squared for the circle. Yeah? And now I just add them together. So I have my square part and my circle part. So all I do is I take my 100 meters squared plus my 39.25 meters squared, and I end up with 139.25 meters squared. And I'm done. So for our next problem, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a word problem and trying to make sense out of it. A window is being replaced with tinted glass. The plan at the right shows the design of the window. Each unit length represents 1 foot. The glass costs $28 per square foot. How much will it cost to replace the glass? Okay, so let's write down what we know right now. Right now we know we have this kind of shape. Okay, and let's just pretend that those are really pretty half circles. And we know that each unit length represents 1 foot. So let's zoom in here. Oops, not that one. Let's zoom in here. And let's count how many they have. So I know that the height here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that this length right here is 4. Same with the other side. That's the distance from top to bottom. Now let's do the length here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know that the length is 5. Okay? And it costs $28 per square foot. We're going to deal with that later. Right now, if we don't even know the square feet, we can't even deal with this right now. So let's leave that for later. What we're going to do is it's already kind of broken up into parts. We have a half circle here, we have a half circle here, and we have a rectangle here. What happens when you have 2 half circles? Well, you get 1 full circle. Half plus half is 1. So instead of having to do that whole half divide by 2 thing that we had to do last time with this one, don't worry about that. What we're going to do is we're just going to pretend like it's a whole circle. And it works because their diameters are the same. Now, if their diameters were different, or if their radii were different, radii is the plural of radius, if they were different, this wouldn't work. But because they're both 4, we can work this out. So I'm going to just make my circle with a diameter of 4. Okay? I just took these 2 sides and I mushed them together. So I have this circle. I also have this rectangle left. That is a 4 on the height and a 5 on the length. Okay? So let's do the circle first. So the area of a circle is equal to pi r squared. And we don't have to divide by 2 because we have the full circle. We have 2 halves. So A is equal to, they said use 3.14 for pi, so that's what I'm going to do. 3.14 times radius squared. We know the diameter is 4. If you remember from the previous problem, your radius is just your diameter cut in half, divided by 2. So if we know our radius is 4, our diameter is 4, that means our radius is just divided by 2, it's 2. So 2 squared. So that means 3.14 times 2 times 2 is 4. So we just have to do that. 3.14 times 4. And that'll give us, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And 4 times 3 is 12. Now there were 2 decimals in the answer, so there are 2 decimals, in the problem, so there's 2 decimals in the answer. So 12.56 for the circle, and then for the rectangle, that's just length times width, or base times height, whichever one you want to write. I'm going to put length times width this time. Length is 5, width is 4. If you're wondering how I know, I just put the longer one is length, and then whatever is left is the width. And then 5 times 4 is 20. So we have 20 plus 12.56, because remember, we want the total area, is 6, 5, 2, 3. And then bring the decimal down, and then the units they used was feet squared. We are not done, because they did not ask us how much they did not ask us how much the area is. They're asking us how much it will cost to replace the glass. All right, let's take a look-see. We know that our total area is 32.56. Square feet. We also know that it costs $28 per square foot. That means I'm going to multiply this by 28. For every square foot, I have to pay $28. So just multiply by that. So that means And if you're wondering how I got that, actually, I'm going to slow it down and show you how I got that. I want money. Well, of course, I want money. Everyone wants money. But I want money. I have 32.56, if you remember from your from conversions. This is my conversion factor. I have feet on the top here, so I'm going to put feet on the bottom with my multiplication. So that means I put feet squared here, and 28 goes up here, so these cancel. If you need to review on this, let me know in virtual office hours. Believe me, this skill will save you in so many word problems. Because if you have no idea what to do next, you can just set this up a lot of the time, and it will just tell you what to do. Like in this case, I know that all I have to do is 32.56 multiplied by 28 all over 1. I'm not going to put over 1 because that's redundant. So I'm just going to do this right now. So 32.56 multiplied by 28. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 is 44. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 8 times 3 is 24, 26. Put a 0, start the next row. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1, if I can write this 2. Carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 6. Bring it all down. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. 0 plus 1 is 1. 6 plus 5 is 11. So here, carry the 1. And 6 plus 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Carry, and then I had 2 decimals in my problem, so I have 2 decimals in my answer. The final answer is $911.68. Alright? And that's it for this problem. It's just so just to run it over again. Your steps have been, so your step 1 is to break the shape into usable parts. Now what I mean by usable parts is break it into a shape you know how to get the area of. It doesn't always have to be a trapezoid, it doesn't always have to be a triangle. Just pick something you know how to do. Yeah? In this case, we turned it into circles and rectangles. Here, we turned it into a square and half a circle. Here, we did a rectangle and a trapezoid. So just cut it. There's many ways to cut it. It's really up to your preference. If you never want to do a trapezoid in your life, that is fine. You can just not ever do trapezoid. That's okay. Step 2 is to find the area of each part. And that's what we did here. And if you have these word problems, step 3, finish the question, I guess. Because by this point, you should have everything needed. There's not really generally, you just answer these questions. You just answer the last part and you should have all the information. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming out and thanks for watching. Hope you had a good break and time to start up again.